Hello there, 6th grade. Welcome to Chapter 10, Section 3, where we're going to be talking about surface area of rectangular prisms. This is going to start on textbook page 763 and go all the way through textbook page 766. Now, just a reminder for what you are looking at for rectangular prisms here. You can see the aquarium, cereal box, which I asked you to bring in, juice box, box truck, cabinet, things of that nature. This was actually a slide from our finding the volume of rectangular prisms, but now we're going to be finding the surface area. So the same type of things you'll see in the word problems will be asking you for surface area and volume. So that's what you're looking for. You want to make sure that you have with you your textbook, which is on the far right here. That's where you're going to be writing all of your notes. It's going to be very, very important that you copy everything exactly as you see it. You want to be writing your work, especially the on your own work, in pencil with an eraser. Please don't do any of the on your own work in pen, highlighter, marker, colored pencil, nothing like that. And then the highlighters and the colored pencils and the markers and the pens can be used to emphasize or to differentiate certain dimensions and things like that. Front and center, again, you have your brain because you need to be thinking, and you have your listening ears because you need to be listening to the video free from distractions. Now you'll be looking at textbook page 763, where it says surface of rectangular prisms. And then it says scan the lesson, predict 2 things you will learn about finding the surface area of rectangular prisms. So the first thing you want to do is scan the lesson. You can pause the video if you'd like. Welcome back, and now you're going to see what we have here for a sample answer. So one of the things you're going to learn about is how to find surface area of a rectangular prism using a formula. And then the second thing, I went ahead and changed to blue pen. It says the relationship of the area of each face of a prism and the surface area. So those are the 2 things that you're going to be focused on in this section. Now you should be focused on the vocabulary startup. So it says to define surface, and that just means the real world definition. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So for define surface, it says the outer face, the outside or exterior, which also means outside, boundary of a thing. So if you're talking about the surface, we're talking about the outside of the thing. Now it says to define area. And as you can see here, I went ahead and wrote the number of square units needed to cover the surface of a closed figure. So we're really talking about the area, just like we talked about with triangles or rectangles. We're talking about, remember when I talked about the grass being the area, that was the grass inside the fence and the fence was the perimeter. And then it says, what is surface area? So now you see the definition for surface area. It says the sum, remember that means to add, of the areas of all the surfaces or faces of a 3-dimensional figure. So that just means if we took the area of each, for instance, on a rectangular prism, each square or rectangle that's on that prism, and we found the area individually and then added them all up, that would be the total surface area. And the last box says we need an example. So an example would be the amount of wrapping paper needed to cover a box, like a present or a gift. Which brings me to the real world link. Gifts. Roberta is wrapping a gift for her sister's quinceañera. Ooh, can't really say that. Sorry if I mispronounced it. She places it in a box with the measurements shown. What is the area of one face of the box? So hopefully you noticed right away that this is a cube because it's 10 inches by 10 inches by 10 inches. So remember, those are special too because they have all the same dimensions. But if it asks you what the area is of one face of the box, we're talking about this right here. So I've outlined the area of one face in red. So you can see the dimensions there. So if the area is going to be equal to, you could use length times width, or you could use area as equal to side squared, because this is a cube, so that's why that works for that. So area is going to be equal to 10 times 10, which is then going to give you an area of 100 inches squared. Now I know we've been doing volume, so you want to switch back into area mode because it should be in square inches. And we get that from multiplying together this 10 times this 10. Then it says, how many faces does the box have? So we sort of need to use our imagination. We know we have one here, and then we'll have one on the opposite side that's the same size. So that's 2. Then we have 3, 4. There's one over here, that's 5. And then there's one on the bottom that we can't see, so that's 6. So you want to put a 6 in here for 6 faces. And then the last question says, what operation would you use to find the surface area of the box? Remember, that operation word means they're basically asking you addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. And you would actually use multiplication and addition. So as you can see, I wrote multiplication and addition. And I did abbreviate multiplication just to make our lives a little bit easier. Now we're looking on textbook page 764. You can see some colorful diagrams here, and it says surface area of a rectangular prism. All right, so right here it says surface area of a rectangular prism. Then it says the surface area, SA, so it's abbreviated SA, so you want to make sure that you know that, of a rectangular prism with length L, width W, and height H, is the sum, remember that word means to add, of the areas of the faces. So let's go ahead and break down this little piece of information here in words. Now with symbols, it's saying SA, which means surface area. I do want you to write this again. So you're going to write SA right here. Equals, now these signs look a little crazy. 2 times the length times the height plus 2 times the length times the width plus 2 times the height times the width. So in the next little piece down, we're going to go ahead and explore that a little bit more, but this is a formula that you can use for surface area of a rectangular prism. Now remember that word sum means adding them all up, so you want to make sure that you're adding. And here you can see it says the surface area of a prism is the sum of the area of its faces. All right, so off to the left, I want you to add the note first before we get started that rectangular prisms and cubes have 6 faces. This is very important because you don't want to forget to add them all up. So when you find the area of each one of the faces, then you add them all up. You should have a total of 6 different areas. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the formula that they have here where you have 3 areas, but that's because, as you can tell, there's 2. It's got 2 in front of each one. So let's go ahead and look at that now. So right here, the first one, I'm going to use colors so that you can tell the difference between what I'm talking about here. So the first one says the length times the height plus the length times the height. So we're talking about the front and back. So let's go ahead and outline that in a specific color. All right, so the length, see how we have that word, that letter L right there, times the height. See how we have the height right there. And I'm going to erase these two once we do the other things. Then what you're doing is you're finding the area of this guy here. But remember, this is the length times the height, so that's one of them. Remember, you have another one back here. So I know that it's kind of weird seeing these 3-dimensional figures, but check that box out back there. So that's why you have 2. It's 2 times length times height because you have this face and then you also have that face back there. So you want to make sure that you understand that. Now I'm going to erase the colors so that I can show you this for each one, but I want you to make sure that you understand where each one is. You can use different colors for yours. So now we're going to do the top and the bottom. So the top and the bottom I'll do in purple. This is the length times the width plus the length times the width. So now we're looking at the length times the width. So follow along with me so you can see that. So now we're talking about the face that it's sitting on and the face on top. And again, I know it looks a little tricky, but we're talking about the area of this part and the area of this part, so the bottom and the top. So that's where you get the 2L from. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase it again, and we're going to look at the 2 sides. So now we've got the height times the width and the height times the width. So that means we've got this side, this side, this side, this side. So now if I was holding this in my hand, this would be the right and the left end caps, sort of like a bookend. It's the ones on the right and the left, so the 2 sides. But again, you have 2 HW because you have 2 sides. So now that I've shown you each of them in the different colors, I'm going to go ahead and erase this here. I'm going to go back to pink now so that we can outline the length and the height for the front and the back. So there's the length and there's the height right here. And there's the length and there's the height. I'd like you to use one color to outline the back and the front. Then I would like you to switch colors so that you can outline the top and the bottom. So the top and the bottom are going to be right here and right here. And again, those are their corresponding faces. So they're across the way from each other. So they should be the exact same measurements as one another. So the top should be the same as the bottom, the back should be the same as the front, and so on. And now you have the side and the other side. So we're going to put that in a little red box. So as you can see, we have, oops, let me see, I just did them in red. Let's not do that in red. It's actually supposed to be blue. There we go. Now I have the blue boxes. So you just want to make sure that you understand where each of these is coming from. The net shows that a rectangular prism has 6 faces. So 6 faces, you want to underline that. The faces can be grouped as 3 pairs of congruent sides. The colors indicate which faces are congruent. And remember, congruent means same size, same shape, same dimensions. So now we have our first example. It says to find the surface area of the rectangular prism. So now they've actually done us a really, really nice job here because we have everything worked out here for you. First of all, you want to ignore those numbers, but you want to notice the colors. So they have the green right here on the top and the bottom, and they have, let me see, make sure that I got that right. Actually, they're saying that's the front and the back. So the green is the front and the back, and so on. Then you have the sides, and you have the top and bottom. So we're going to go through one by one and identify each one of these because I realize it's easier now because it's here in front of you, but when you have to do it on your own, it may not be as easy. So let's go ahead and take it one step at a time. So when you have the front and back, as you can see here, we've got the front and back. So we've got 8 meters and we've got 6 meters. So we're just going to go ahead and plug that in. And I realize it's written for you. I want you to write it again. We have 2 of those. So we have 1, 2. And then the formula is going to be 8 times 6. And those are just the dimensions there. The 8 and the 6 that I have the green arrows pointing to. So now you have 2 is equal to, 2 times 48. And then you get 96. So now actually I'm going to take a step back here because I went to 96. So I'm going to go ahead and erase the 96 because I looked in the example here and I think that what they're doing is important. So you have 2 times 48. They want you to leave that as 2 times 48 right now so that when you get to the end and you add up all the areas that you can count to make sure that you have 6. So I think that that's also a good idea. So now let's go ahead and look at the top and bottom. Okay, so now I've written top and bottom. Then you want to go ahead and look. And remember when we were doing perimeter how you had to use corresponding sides. Because as you can tell right here, so see that 8 meters? That is going to be one of the dimensions. So you know that you're going to multiply 2 because you have 2 of those yellow boxes times, and it'll be 8 times. But remember, now we're going to need this side right here. But we don't see that side right here. But what we can do is we can look, and I'm going to use a different color pen. We can look all the way across from here to here, and we can see that this side right here is 7 meters. So that means this side is 7 meters. So that's where we're going to get that 7 from. So now it's going to be 2 times 8 times 7, which is 2 times 56. And I'm going to actually erase this and put it out to the right like they have it. 2 times 48. So now you can see that we have the front and back and we have the top and bottom. And so now all we need are the sides. So we're going to go ahead and do the sides. I'm going to erase my little drawings up here. Now we need to do the sides. The sides are actually in blue. So as you can see, I wrote the word sides. I would like you to write that as well. And then you're going to be looking at this box right here and this box right here. And again, because they're congruent, they should have all the same measurements. So we can look at this one and we see 6 meters and we see 7 meters. So let's go ahead and plug that in. We have 2 of them and their dimensions are going to be 7 times 6 or 6 times 7 equals 2 times 42. So now what you can do, you want to double check that you have 2's in front of all your numbers like this, 2, 2, 2. And then you want to go ahead and add each one of those faces up. But wherever you see 2, you want to write them individually. So I'm going to use the same colors. So what I mean by that is you're going to add each face or the area of each face, and you want to check to make sure that you have 6 numbers. So as you can see, I'm going to use the correct colors. I've got 48, and because I have this 2 right there, I'm going to write plus 48, and then we've got plus, now I'm going to switch to yellow, 56 plus 56, and then I'm going to switch to that blue now, plus 42 plus 42. Now before I start to do anything, I'm just going to count really quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, I have them all. Then you want to add those all up, and you get that your surface area is going to be 292 square meters. So you would want to go ahead and write it like that, and then you want to make sure not to forget to box your answer at the end of your problem. All right, I know it can seem a little overwhelming, but I want you to go ahead and look at your problem here. And I need you to do the same thing that we did before. You need to do the front and back, the top and bottom, and the sides. So I should see that, and then I should see you add them up. Remember, don't multiply it out, like right here, this step right here, when I wanted to make that 96, don't make that 96 right now, because you still want to make sure that you can account for all 6 faces while you're learning the process. So as you can see, I went ahead and outlined the front and back. So for the front and back, we have 10 and 15 for the dimensions, and don't forget you have 2 of them. So of course that gives you 2 times 150. Then you are going to do the top and bottom. So remember, the top and bottom is going to be the area that's in yellow. Remember, you have 2 of those. So let me go ahead and erase this really quickly so you can see what I mean. Erase, erase, erase. All right, so now we've got this that I'm outlining in yellow, Now we have 15 as one of the dimensions, and we need to know this one. So remember, we're going to look across to the corresponding side to get that 10. So we know that that's going to be 10 now. So it'll be 15 and 10. So again, you get 2 times 150. Now I'm going to erase this over here, and we're going to go ahead and do the sides. So the sides, again, we're in that aqua color or blue, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick outline. And as you can see, the sides are 10 and 10. So don't get carried away with your 10s and 15s. Make sure that you're paying attention. So as you can see, we get 2 times 100. So now at the bottom, we're going to add them all up and make sure that you have 6 figures before you start adding. So before I start adding, I'm going to count. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now I can add those up. These 2 are going to give me 300. These 2 give me 300. And these 2 give me 200. So now 300 and 300 is 600, plus 200 is 800. So my final answer is going to be that the surface area is equal to 800. Now we need to look at the units. The units were inches. Inches squared. Now don't forget, it's going to be squared. We're not in volume anymore. We're still in area again. So now you should be looking at textbook page 765, and it should look like at the top it'll say find surface area using a formula. So what we were showing you before, where we had the rectangular prism all cut apart basically and laid out flat, that's going to be called a net. So what you want to look at now is the way that you can use an actual formula. So basically, one is where you're looking at a picture and you can easily look and see that you've counted each one, each particular square or rectangle. And then this one, you're going to be using the formula. SA equals 2 times length times height plus 2 times length times width plus 2 times H times W. So go ahead and rewrite that formula out to the side somewhere just so that you can use that going forward. Now you want to look at example 2. So it says find the surface area of the rectangular prism. So they've actually shown you the prism and they've also shown you the net. So it says find the area of each face, front and back, top and bottom, left and right sides. And then it says to add the figure of the surface area together. So basically this is what we were doing before. So let's go ahead and do exactly what we did before for this problem too. Actually, on second thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you just use what they have here because I don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. I don't want you to have to redo it all over again. So it says to find the area of each face. So right here you see that. Then for the front and back, they have 2 times 7 times 4 or 56. 2 times 7 times 5, which is 70, and 2 times 4 times 5. So in this particular example, you can see that they're actually multiplying it out. So if you look here, you get 56, 70, and 40. This is where you're going to only have 3 totals, but the reason you have 3 totals is because you multiplied by 2. Okay, so there were actually 6 there to begin with, but since you multiplied out by 2, that's why you only have 3 totals to add together, and that's okay. Then it says the surface area is going to be 56 plus 70 plus 40, which is 166 square feet. So I want you to know that the first example, we had to add them each individually, and in this example, you're seeing where they actually go ahead and multiply out the 2 times the length times the height. So we'll only have 3 figures to add at the end. Now let's go ahead and plug the information into this problem for example 3. It says to find the area of each face, determine the dimensions. Now we've got the length is 7, and then we've got the width is 4.8, and then we have the height is 6. So now it says front and back, 2 times the length times the height. Now, when I fill these in, I'm going to fill them in their respective colors. Notice I just underlined them in the specific color. So now it's going to be 2 times length. Well, I did the length in red, so I'm going to write 7 in red, times the height. And I did the height in purple, so we're going to go ahead and write 6. And then 2 times 7 times 6 is going to give you 42 right here. And then you've got 42 times 2, which will give you 84. Let's put that in blue. All right, so as you can see, I went ahead and wrote the 84 right here, and I wrote 2 times 42 up at the top just so that you could see that. The next one says top and bottom, and for that one we had to fill in 7 times 4.8. So really off to the side, I should see your work for 7 times 4.8. So now as you can see, I found out that 7 times 4.8 is 33.6, and I actually almost made the mistake. So you want to make sure that you're then writing 2 times 33.6. And I'm actually going to move this 2 times 42 right out here. I would like to see that out on the outside for each one of these because I think it's far too easy for you to make a mistake. So you want to make sure that you have those right out here to the side, just so that you remember that you actually do need to multiply them. So now we have 33.6, and we're going to multiply that by the 2. So we get 12, 6, 7, and then 6, 1 decimal out, 1 decimal in. So now we get a total of 67.2. Okay. Now again, I filled in the correct corresponding units for the H and the W. We've got 6 times 4.8. So off to the side, I need to do that math. So when I multiply that, I get 28.8. But you can't forget, out to the side, I want you to write 2 times 28.8. This is very, very important because if you're not doing that, it's very easy for you to be like, okay, now I have 28.8, I'm all set. And you're not. So now you want to multiply 28.8 times 2, and you get 57.6, as you can see here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. And now it says to add to find the surface area. And again, notice you only have 3 blocks to add here with. That's because you've already multiplied by 2. So keep that in mind. You'll either have 6 if you don't multiply by 2, or you'll have 3 if you do multiply by 2. Now when you go, I went ahead and plugged in our numbers. Now when you go to add these up, you want to make sure you don't make a mistake. 67.2, don't forget to line those decimals up properly. And then 57.6, don't forget to line those up properly. So now we have 6 plus 2 is 8. Bring our decimal down. 7 plus 7 is 14. 18 here now. And then we carry the 1, 8. So we've got 11, 9, and we get 20 right here. So now we have 208.8. So our final problem right here is going to, or our final answer rather, is going to be 208.8. And let me actually erase that so I can try and get it all in there. All right, so again, I know this looks like a lot of work, but you want to make sure that you're going to be plugging it into the formula. So now I want you to do it on your own. So again, I want you to use the formula. That's the strategy that we're using for this one. And so I want you to set it up like this. The first thing you need to do is identify the length, the width, and the height. Okay, so as you can see, I've done that here. You want to make sure, and I know that this one can be a little confusing because if you look at the height and the width, it's not really exactly clear. But if you notice that 2 meters is directly next to this side right here. So that's how you know that that is going to be the height. And I know you could look at this triangular prism or this rectangular prism at a couple different angles and see different things. So now you have your dimensions. And for these, remember, you want to use the formula. All right, and you want to make sure, I think it's probably going to be easiest if you work across like this instead of down like they're showing you. So now you want to go ahead and fill it in from here. So for here, you've got 2 times length times height. So now we have 2 times, and our length is going to be, and I kind of have a problem because my colors that I used up here on the white aren't going to show up on the black. So I've got to have that here. So now we've got 2 times the length, which is 4, times the height, which is 2. So now I'm using green for height. Then we're going to go ahead and bring that down, and that gives us 2 times 8, which will then give us 16. So you want to work it all the way down. Now for the next one, you have 2 times the length times the width. So as you can see, we have 2 times 4 times 3, which is actually 12. And 2 times 12 is going to give you 24. And the last one is 2 times the height times the width, which gives you 2 times 2 times 3, which is 6, and 2 times 6 gives you 12. And now at the bottom, to find your final surface area, you're going to add those all up. So your surface area will be equal to 16 plus 24 plus 12. So if I add 16 and 24, I get 40 plus 12 gives me a total of 52. So let's go ahead and check my answer. My final answer is going to be surface area equals 52 meters squared because it is area. So we're going to put a box around that. You want to make sure to put your answer up here on the line too in the top right corner up here. So we've got 52 meters squared, and make sure you have the area. Excellent, you're doing a great job. Let's go ahead and look now. We're looking at textbook page 766. We're in the home stretch now. So you see this cool little rock gem type thing on the left. And because you've worked so hard thus far, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this problem and see what we need to do. It says a geode is being sent as a gift. It is packaged in a box that measures 7 inches long, 3 inches wide, and 16 inches tall. What is the surface area of the box? So the first thing that you needed to do was pull out the dimensions. So even we want to make sure that we label and pull out the dimensions. So it says 7 inches long, so the length equals 7, and we can even write inches. And then it says 3 inches wide, so we need to write width equals 3 inches. And then the height is going to be, it says 16 inches tall, so that's another word for height. 16 inches goes right here. All right, and then it says, what is the surface area of the box? So since you don't have a picture of the box, it's really important that you can follow the formula. So just like before, let's go ahead and write all three of those. So the surface area is going to be equal to, we've got 2 times length times height, plus 2 times length times width, plus 2 times height times width. Now, you can make sure that your formula is correct is if you have 2 L's, 2 H's, and 2 W's throughout all of this. So that's one way to make sure. So now we just want to plug everything in. And as you can see, they went ahead and plugged everything in there. And I'm not going to make you do the rest of the problem because they've done it for you. So you just want to go ahead and see that right there we pick up and we get those 3 values, 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to add all 3 of those together. And then we get our final answer, which is 362 square inches. So now you're going to go ahead and look at the guided practice. You've made it. Numbers 1 through 4, that's what you want to do. And then you want to rate yourself at the end. Good times. Thanks for sticking with me. Enjoy.